This is the prep packet video for Unit 4, Chapter 9.8. We're working on objective number 6 where we divide complex numbers. To divide with a complex number, basically you're setting it up as in a fraction form, and you're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. So for instance, if I had 3 plus 4i over 2 minus 5i. If I multiply this by its conjugate, I'll get rid of the I. Let's see what happens. So the conjugate of this would be the same terms, but a different sign. And what I do to the bottom, I need to do to the top. So here I'm going to distribute, basically I'm foiling. So 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 5i would be 15i. 4 times 2 would be 8i. And 4i times 5i would be 20i squared. Again, make sure you do that. The denominator is basically, we're setting it up as the difference of squares. So because it's the same terms with a different sign, the middle terms will fall out and I'll end up with the first term squared, so 2 squared, minus the second term squared. So 5 times 5 is 25, and I times I would be I squared. So let's come down here and do the next version. So with the numerator, I'm going to combine like terms. So I have 6 plus 15 and 8 would be 23i. And remember, this last term is the same as saying plus 20 times negative 1. On the bottom, I have 2 squared is 4 minus 25i squared, which is the same as saying minus 25 times negative 1. I have a little more cleaning up to do. So my numerator is 6 plus 23i minus 20, and my denominator is 4. A negative times a negative is a positive. So now I have my next version. I'm going to combine these like terms. So I'll have negative 14 plus 23i all over 29. And remember, when we're writing a complex number, it has two parts. The first part is the real number, and the second part is the imaginary number. And in this case, you're going to break that fraction up. And that's the format that I would like to see that in. Let's take a look at another one. So here I have 3 over 4 minus 5i. So to deal with this, I'm going to multiply it by 1 in the form of the conjugate of the denominator. Whoops, that's not a T, that's an I. So here, this one's pretty simple. I'm just distributing. So 3 times 4 is, here, let's make this a little easier on all of us. 3 times 4 is 12, and 3 times 5i would be 15i. Here, I'm going to deal with the square of this and the square of that. So I'll have 16 minus, because these are the conjugates, so it's 16 is 4 squared, and 5 squared would be 25i squared. And in the next version, that will be 12 plus 15i over 16 minus 25 times negative 1. 12 plus 15i over 16 plus 25. And as you get more proficient at this, you're not going to need to write out every step, but you're going to need to write out most steps. And remember, because this is a complex number, I'm going to have two parts to it. So I'll have 12 over 41 plus 15i over 41. Two parts on that complex number. Let's do another one. So here, again, I'm going to multiply it by the conjugate. That first term can stay the same, but it's the same terms, different sign. So first of all, we're going to FOIL the top. So 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. 6 times negative I would be negative 6i. Negative 2i times negative 7 would be plus 14i. And negative 2i times negative I would be positive 2i squared. And that's all over. Negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49. Negative 7 times negative 1 would be negative I would be positive I. Now we'll do the next set. Positive I times negative 7 would be negative 7i. And finally, we'll have minus I squared. And again, that middle term cancels out. So on top, we have negative 42. And if I combine these two terms, I have positive 8i. And then I have plus 2 times negative 1. And that's all over 49 minus negative 1. And then the next version, we're still combining like terms. I have negative 42, and this is the same as negative 2, so minus 2 plus 8i all over 49 plus 1. And this is negative 44 over 50 plus 8i over 50. And these are still fractions, so you still have to reduce. So the first one would be the same as, let's see, negative 22 over 25 plus, and that would be 4i over 25. And I think you're probably starting to get the picture here. Here I have the conjugate would be 4 plus 11i. So let's see, that's negative 12 minus 33i plus 4i plus 11i squared all over 16 minus 121i squared. And that rewrites as negative 12 minus 33 minus 4 would be 29i minus 11, because this is I squared, so that's 11 times negative 1. That just changes the sign. And then down below I have 16 plus 121. And that has a new version of negative 23 minus 29i all over 137. And if we set that up appropriately, it'll be negative 23 over 137 minus 29I over 137. And for further practice, I would like you to look at the You Try problems on page 593 and turn those in with your work. See you next time.